turn it over to talk to Lori about that.
Or you can do A, B, C, D.
All right, well, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome you to the August 2021 board meeting of the UME Preparatory Academy Board of Directors. It's a blessing to be in my first time facilitating this meeting, and I'm honored to do so. I would like to remind us that this meeting is being conducted by telephone conference and live stream conference in accordance with the governor's authorization concerning suspension of certain open meeting law requirements for the COVID-19 disaster. Having said that, I would like to ask if we could have somebody open with us with a word of prayer tonight. Who'd be willing to volunteer to do that?
Our Heavenly Father God, we are grateful to be in this room tonight. Thank you that we're all healthy enough to sit at these tables. Lord, we ask for your wisdom and your guidance as we navigate the agenda that is before us. We realize, God, that it is an honor and a privilege to hold the position that we hold and to act on behalf of a wonderful school and over 1,300 wonderful students. So, Lord, we do ask for your wisdom.
David. Well, let's go ahead and start off with a roll call for the meeting. Alicia Baker.
Here.
Greg Burleson. Here. Susan Davis.
Here.
Blake Flickner.
Here.
David Howard.
Here.
Jolene McVeigh.
Here.
Jenna Picor.
Here.
Chris Stewart.
Here.
Leslie Todd.
Here.
Welcome to your first meeting. And Jessica Zambrano.
Here.
Great, thank you. So the second item on the agenda today is agenda topic comments. Do we have any agenda topic comments for tonight's meeting? All right.
Lori, do we have agenda topic comments? Okay.
Sure. All right, you're saying we have one virtual.
I believe so.
Is it an agenda topic comment that's virtual or a public comment that's virtual? All right. Can't hear me? So are we able to find out what that agenda topic comment is for that virtual
Is the
participant?
person online? Call us. Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, sorry, I just joined. I guess you were asking what my comment was.
Yeah, we're at the place where we're talking about agenda topic comments, and this is.
I'm sorry.
One second.
Again, so I can see her. Okay.
And after the agenda topic comments on the agenda, we move into the public comments. So is yours an agenda topic comment or is yours a public comment?
You know, it's on an agenda topic, but I can wait until the end.
No, you're fine. If it's on the agenda, then it's fine. This is the right time for you to do that.
Okay. So do I just need to go ahead and ask?
Yeah, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself, just so we make sure we know who you are, and then yeah, feel free to go ahead and make that comment.
Oh, sure. Hi, my name is Robin Cooley, and I have a first grader attending the Duncanville campus. And I want to ask if we have plans for a mask mandate. I see that a lot of other schools in the school district are implementing one. I think it's a good idea. I know it's probably not the most popular idea out there. I don't anticipate anybody saying, yes, great, let's do it. But I just wanted it to go on record that I think it would be a good idea. And then also, I wanted to know with the TEA update on the 19th, saying that we were going to, that there would be notifications of COVID in the classroom, how we were going to be notified if there was anybody our child came into contact with, and sort of what our plans were with that. My daughter had her paternal grandfather die on the 30th from COVID. And so it is a big concern in our family. And I just want to know moving forward how y'all are planning on working with that.
Sure. Okay. Robin, thank you for that. The next thing that I actually had to share is some comments for one participant who's here in public to speak as well. And I can go ahead and share that with you at this time, because I think we're at the right place to be able to address this. We do have later on in the agenda a COVID update timeframe where discussion will happen about COVID related issues. So I've heard you state just now that you wanted to know whether we would be doing a mask mandate, and that you wanted to know how we would be notified about positive cases. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, great. So moving into this next, a little segue here. The way that we are able to address these particular issues, I have a statement that I prepared that I could share that I think will help Robin for the agenda comment, and then also anyone who's here to address the board with public comments. So officially, I'm delighted. I thought there might be more of us, but it's plural, but thank you for coming. And Robin, I'm grateful for your comment as well, bringing that to our attention. So officially, those guests that are here tonight from the public, whether online or in person, I want to welcome you to this board meeting. It is a business meeting of the board that we're having here, but we hold these meetings in public. I would like to just note for the secretary that the record should reflect that this meeting was posted pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.045, and it's being held with a quorum present. We appreciate your attendance tonight, and we are thankful for your time with us this evening. If you've signed up to address the board during the public comments time, or you've made a comment during the agenda comments section, you indeed have had and you will have an opportunity to do so in a moment. We also understand that people feel passionately about the issues that they will speak on tonight. They feel them very personally. And we would just ask that everyone respectfully communicate with each other so that the meeting could be held in the way that we would like to, in an orderly, honorable way. But as we segue from our agenda comments to our public comments timeframe on the agenda, I thought it would be helpful to just explain the way these proceedings are required by law to occur under the Texas Open Meetings Act. See, as a board, we're actually not permitted to discuss or act on any issues that are not posted on the agenda for tonight's meeting. The law requires that any actions of the governing board be notified to the public in writing at least 72 hours in advance of a public meeting. So that means that the broader UME community, and I guess I could say the public in general, did not have the opportunity to know about the things that, whether an online participant or a person with public comments in person would say tonight. So what it means is the board members are not allowed to deliberate. We can't ask questions of you. We can't even provide a response or take action related to the comments, but this is where I'm kind of hurtling my way towards this next point. Please rest assured, we want to hear from you, and we believe it's important to hear from you. We don't want it to be at all surprising or to feel disrespectful in any way when the agenda comments or the public comments concludes and we're not permitted to actually deliberate or engage on those things or take action tonight about those things. We commit, though, to listen carefully and to delegate to Mrs. Smith or a future agenda of the board things that are going to require follow-up. So at this time, the board will receive comment from those individuals who have gathered here today, who just joined us, and who have signed up to speak publicly tonight. So the speakers, I know one of you just arrived, so not to kind of shock you that you're almost on. Are you here to speak tonight, Lisa?
Oh, not particularly.
Our party got postponed.
I'd be happy to.
So she said we should come and see what's going on.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So I was already ready to go to Skateland, but
Oh, I see. All right. All right. Well, anyway,
I have no question.
okay.
We're just here.
All right. Well,
We're glad you're here.
we are delighted you're here. So at this time, if there's anyone in the room or online, the board who will be prepared to receive comment from those individuals who have actually signed up to speak publicly tonight. I guess the thing that I would add is that once you've completed your comments, if there is anyone to do so, we would just ask that you return to your seats, and we'll just keep the meeting going that way. Looking at the room, seeing that there are a few people here, I should just inquire whether or not there's anyone who has signed up for public comments to the board. Online? No, not at all. Well, we got an education tonight in and how the Texas Open Meetings Act works, and I got to practice talking about it. So that's a learning experience. So having said that,
Robin, we do want to thank you, and we are listening to what parents have to say. And we, as Scott said, we will take some action, whether they ask me to address or we address it at another board meeting, what you've shared.
yeah, and I guess, Robin, since you're the only ones who said something this evening, is there anything else you would like to add? I was going to say that people would have 3 minutes, and you only spoke for about a minute there. So I didn't want to cut that off if you had something else in addition to those two big concerns that you wanted to share.
No, that's fine. I'm fine. I've emailed Mr. Grace, and I also emailed Ms. Smith. So I've been trying to contact the parent rep to sort of get the process going. You know, I've never talked with the board of directors before. I don't know anything. So it's a learning experience for me. But yeah.
Well, we're grateful for you embracing that learning experience. We also are all learning in our roles too. So we're parents like you, and we have concerns as well. So we're grateful that you took courage to speak tonight. Thank you. All right, well, since I'm seeing that there's no more public comments, I think we can go ahead and move into the next agenda point for tonight, which, as you see, is the acceptance of board minutes. And in the Google Drive that you had access to, we have the minutes from the June 15, 2021 board meeting that we participated in. So are there any questions about the minutes or any clarifications you would like to request or what you saw? Okay, well, can I entertain a motion from someone to approve the June 15, 2021 board minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Chris.
I second that.
All right, Blake Flickner, second. Great. All in favor of approving the June 15, 2021 board minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, that passes. The next thing on the agenda is the June 26, 2021 goal-setting workshop that we had with Dr. C here in this room. And we have received minutes for that workshop. It was an official training time and workshop for all of us. We're working on possibility of development of goals with Kayla as the superintendent. So are there any questions that you had about those minutes? All right. Can I entertain a motion to approve the June 26, 2021 goal setting workshop minutes? Anyone?
I move to approve the June 26th workshop goal setting minutes.
Thank you, Susan.
Second that.
All right. Greg has given it a second. Very good. All in favor of approving these minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Very good, thank you. The next section on our agenda is where we turn it over to Mr. Gene Zhu to comment on how UME Prep is doing financially in maintaining cost containment. So, Mr. Zhu, are you ready for that presentation?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Scott, and good evening, board.
Good evening.
We're actually approaching to the end of the fiscal year. If you look at your dashboard, this is going to be the second to the last month. One more month, I mean, a few weeks to go. Actually, we're going to close the fiscal year. We're doing very well. If you look at your financial dashboard, for ending accounting period July the 31st, we ended a little bit over $1.1 million the operating net income. You add back about $500,000 depreciation expense. That's I call the non-operating, non-cash expenditure. That you are at $1.68 million surplus, which is extraordinary. I mean, you're talking somewhere probably in the ballpark. If I might speculate about $1.2 million cash you added to your account. The reason I'm saying that because the $1.6 million surplus would have to subtract the bond principal payment we paid. That's not on your P&L, not on your income statement. So having said all that, your cash balance for ending July is at almost 200 days, 198 days to be exact. That's you probably heard some comment from some of the charter school meeting, as well as some of the legislative agendas, and some of the local districts or the people that don't like charter that much are making comment about charter school having very high level of cash reserve, and I don't ever really shame about that. I will tell you, you guys are running a very lean, mean machine. I mean, you have a sufficient cash, sufficient operating surplus to anticipate any of the unpredicted, operating items that are coming toward you. I mean, that right now every superintendent is talking about it. Their enrollment, they're worried about their enrollment, they're worried about their online learning, and as well as all those political COVID-related items that will ultimately reflect on your financials. So I will put you on that. You guys are doing a great job for the last few years, having sufficient cash reserve, have sufficient operating surplus that will carry your mission forward, and without so much stress on the operating, on the operational team and the management team. And we have a very good low administrative ratio there, about 11%. We don't have any issues with the staffing and student ratio at this point. And again, enrollment is a across-board issue right now. And we'll go into the detail a little bit later with the board on the budgetary items. We're not advising at this point to panic or to making multiple budget amendments until we know a little bit more, because TA is still at this point trying to figure out what is the plan, what we're going to help the school and the public as far as the COVID related items. We would know a little bit more about the funding structure from the state, and then we will know a little bit more about the requirements for in-school learning, as well as they call the remote conferencing. Again, the ultimate goal is to make sure we maintain our funding, we maintain our staffing level, we continue to serve our students. Our current ratio is at a 4.4 to 1 for period end July. And again, your ADA number and your budget number, we are still reporting to you based on the last ended school year. We're not going to the next fiscal year yet. And even though I keep talking about interchangeable between this year and next year, but all the data are still reflecting the last fiscal year and last school year's performance. Your debts, bond debt coverage ratio is at almost 2, which is great, almost 2 times what you required by the trustee. A bit good news, we received our preliminary 2021 charter first reading. That was based on our 2019-2020 audited financial data that we received a superior reading again for I don't know how many years, 3-4 years consecutively, which is great. I mean, nothing else give us a little hope, and that reading will last a long way, because not only that tells you guys doing a great job, having a very tight financial management accountability requirement on me, on Ms. Kayla Smith, and on the management team, but also that's all this work we've done for the last fiscal year, the year before last fiscal year, and that really reflect on the rating. Now, also the second thing is very important. I always mention to the board is your financial rating ultimately is going to get you to the financing market in a very competitive position, meaning you can borrow money if we ever decide to build another school or build a addition to this campus. That will give you an edge to get pretty decent low interest rate. So that's part of the criteria that the investor will look at it. And I also put a little bit information on the left corner of the dashboard to give you some of the ballpark number of ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 allocation, which Kayla also provided a presentation in our for the June meeting. Yeah. So you have that there. So give you a little scope on that. Any questions on the dashboard?
So is Team Superior the highest rating?
Highest rating, yeah. I guess we're not appealing the rating. They give us 30 days to appeal. If you don't feel you're being rated fairly, you can appeal.
Okay, let's don't appeal.
So Gene, on this, on these ratios, when will we have an update on current school year? Like next board meeting, will we have this updated?
You're gonna have an update in September. Yeah, but you're gonna get updated live data from superintendent's report.
To that?
We can reflect to that. You can replace the data with new data. Yes.
And based on the numbers that you're seeing, is any of this going to change that much from where we are right now? from where we were?
We have more than 1226, do we? As of last week.
Enrollment,
Uh-huh.
yeah, we're around 1350.
That's 13 something, right?
But these attendance numbers are based on last academic.
Last year's data that from a TA's a data source.
So in September, it'll change to this
Yeah.
current school year's enrollment.
We don't see any, I mean, I just want to make sure there's nothing that we need to be concerned about moving, with this changing, to yellow or anything with the current. Are we anticipating seeing a drop?
I think that we don't know for sure until we run our first payroll and really see where we are with enrollment and funding and payroll and, but we should know that. We should be clear in September. I mean, Jean and I've talked, I don't foresee that we're gonna have issues, but.
Yeah, the data I received the last Friday, we have 1363 enrolled students. We're getting almost every update every another day. Any questions on the dashboard? And in your packet, we provide with your standard financial statements. You have income statement for Duncanville campus, Dallas campus, as well as consolidated to UME corporate level. You can see for ending July 31st, we brought in almost $12.5 million revenue. Then we spent about 11.4. That's where your $1.1 million surplus come in play. Then you on the very bottom line of your functional expenditure, you see there's what $542,000 depreciation expense. And if we add into the 1.1, that's where the $1.68 million surplus showed up on the dashboard. And if you look at all the function, the object expenditure, those expenditures are reflected. Some of the increase we have given to our teachers the last year, and you start seeing a reflection there. And some of the HB3 requirement we had last fiscal year. Again, even with the increase, some of the delta there, you still see a tremendous amount of revenue taking in. You see you have almost $2 million more revenue than you anticipated this period in the budget period, 11 months.
So Jean, on the budget, so the budget for, for instruction, we budgeted X amount and then amended this, but our actuals were 5.6. The budget included the pay raises, correct?
The budget did not include the pay raise, the actual did.
The actual did.
Yes.
The actual did, but didn't we have the budget ready before?
We will ask the board to amend the budget to actuals. Yeah. I know you're thinking about the audit schedule. Yes. This is on the agenda. We will ask the board to amend that.
Okay.
For ending July 31st, we have about $5.4 million cash. If you look at your balance sheet, the subtotal on the line labeled total cash and cash equivalents. We also provide you with a cash report that reflects each single bank account we have, how much cash we have in each bank account. If you look at your cash report, the end of July 2021, we have $5.65 million cash. Then on the left bottom corner, I also plugged in a cash balance for you for the last ended fiscal year, which is $4.1 million. That's where you can see how much you have gained in cash, which is extraordinary. Any questions on the July 31st financial report? Well, that concludes my financial reports.
All right. Thank you, Gene. I think that moves us to an action item where we're going to need to consider approving the financial statements from July 2021. Can I have a motion from one of you to approve the financial statements for July 2021?
Did we accept the financial for July 2021?
Greg, and Alicia seconded that. Great. All in favor of approving the July 2021 financials as Mr. Zhu has presented them, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Financial statements do pass. Great.
Thank you. The next item on BB, we're asking the board to amend, as Greg said earlier, amend the current year, the financial you're just looking at. We will ask the board to amend its revenue and the expenditure to its actual revenue and expenditure. That gives us two reasons for that. First reason, you guys are approving my financial report every single month we present it to you. So you, in theory, already basically amend your budget on a monthly basis because you accepted the variance between the original budget versus the actuals. So the end of the fiscal year, I would like to ask you to amend the budget to its final actual and expenditure, which is going to be August 31st, 2021. That way, on the financial audit, we have a budgetary comparison schedule we have to submit to TA. The less variance we have, the better off we are. Preferably, we have zero variances. We don't, as a board and the management team, we don't have to write a explanation or narrative page to attach to the schedule. So since you as a board basically amending the budget every month as you go. So I just want to make that comment.
All right. So what you're requesting of us is a
the language I request the board to amend the 2020-2021 operating budget to its actual revenue and expenses.
Very good. So just to repeat that, the budget amendment is to consider and take possible action to amend the fiscal year 2020 to 2021 budget to its actual revenues and expenditures. Could I have a motion from one of you that we can vote on that?
Before we do, so Gene, are we going to get an updated budget
In August.
in August?
Yeah.
Updated.
Yes.
All right, because one of you may not have memorized what I just said.
I move we amend the budget as requested.
Great. Pick that up on the fly. Great. So Susan is moving that we take action to amend the 2020-2021 budget to its actual revenues and expenditures. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Jessica, thank you. All right. All in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Very good.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Gene.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you.
Please thank your team. You all do tireless work So it's probably tiring.
Wednesday is not on the agenda, but just information. We recruited a charter school auditor on our team. So we hired a auditor in early July. She's already started working very hard. We already have 3 audits that behind us, and we are going through every single client's general ledger entries and internal reported financial reports and all that. So we will hope this year's audits can be a lot more smoother than we ever had. So, because she has different lanes to look at the books.
Great.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, well, our agenda tells me that we are now moving into the time of the superintendent's report, and there's A through H on
Yeah,
here.
there's a lot of stuff.
So, I'll pass this on to you,
Okay.
Mrs. Smith.
All right, we're going to start with an enrollment report, and it looks different than it usually does. We will go back to our other format next month when things kind of settle in. But this is an initial enrollment report from our new school year. So basically, we don't have to pay attention to all of that breakdown, but the total for up at the top is your Dallas High School 9th to 12th grade enrollment. That's your first section where it says 001 UME Prep Dallas campus. So our total enrollment for our 9th to 12th graders is 349. And that is really full. We might have a spot here or there, but we're full. The next section is our 7th and 8th grade, our junior high, and we are at 224. So combining those, we're at 573 in this building. And again, there might be a spot or two. I don't think so in 7th and 8th grade. We're full. Y'all stop me if you have questions, okay? The next section down is our Dallas Elementary campus. We have 4, I should go back and tell you that. Let's go back to high school. 9th, 10th, and 11th, we have 4 sections of students. 12th grade, we still have 3. Next year, we'll add another section to that grade. So high school will be what I would call complete. We'll have 4 sections. 7th and 8th grade, we now have 5 sections, each of those. As we grow and include Duncanville students on this campus, and we've grown to 5 sections for each of those. That's why you're going to see the totals in those grades are larger. Dallas Elementary, 4 sections of each grade, kindergarten through 6. We're at 528 for that Dallas Elementary campus. Again, that is full with just a spot here or there. Maybe we had a no-show in a couple of spots. The next one is the Duncanville Elementary. We're at 202 there, which is a little surprising to us. We had, I think, about 240 to 50 on our list before school started. We had quite a few no-shows, meaning when we started school, people just didn't come, who told us that they were going to come. I'm going to tell you that talking to superintendents around the area, and Jean and I just had this conversation this afternoon, is the story this year, is that parents have just chosen not to enroll their students. We have a lot of students who are sitting at home that are not in an ISD or a charter or a private school for that matter. So we did have a lot of no-show students, more than ever since I have been here. So we're at 202 at Duncanville. That's 2 sections for each grade level. We do have openings. You can see that kindergarten, 1st and 2nd are really full, and 6th grade. But typically on that campus, we have had really just issues filling 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And that's a little unusual. It's unusual for, especially for 5th. Sometimes those middle grades, you know, it's kind of common, but I can't really explain that. I wish I had an explanation for it. And then the area we want to talk about is our Mansfield Elementary, because we probably had about 50 no-shows on that campus.
15?
No, about 50.
Wow.
40 to 50. We're at 57 students right now on that campus. And of course, that is not what we projected or planned for. That's one section per grade level. We are full, well, almost full at first grade. And kindergarten, we thought we were over full, and then we only had 10 actually come.
Wow.
And a lot in our other grades. So I'm just going to encourage you that we're not in trouble. Jean and I have had conversations. We're fine. We're going to be fine, but it is not what we planned. It's a really, really sweet environment. I would just suggest, if you can, just to drop by. We have a wonderful staff over there and a wonderful principal. So it's going to be great. We just need to grow. And it may not be this year. This is not a great year for growth. And if we had foreseen this, you know, maybe we wouldn't have pursued opening the campus. The uptick in COVID right before school started, I don't think that helped us. I think that's part of the no-shows in multiple buildings. So it's just a little unfortunate, but I feel positive about what is happening on that campus. So I think it's going to be good in the end. We've built a great relationship with the church there. Things are going really smoothly. We just finished the renovations that needed to happen. We were a little bit behind, but those just got finished, and things are moving forward. So any questions about that?
I'll speak to that campus because I got to go over there for the opening, and first of all, it is beautiful and the rooms are huge. I don't know how to explain how these classrooms are so big and pretty. And so if there's any parents listening, you know, that are considering, maybe go over there and look, because those classrooms are so large and so inviting, and the teachers are so excited. I mean, they really are. The gym is really pretty. Like, everything is just really pretty. And so I'm encouraged about it. I know that it's not what we were hoping, but you know, I'm still encouraged.
Well, and your people are what make your school.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel really confident about the people we have in place on that campus, as I do all of our campuses, but especially starting a new school.
Well, I mean, we didn't have a great deal of time to fill, and I mean, I think we're doing okay.
No, I think we had several things that were working against us, and part of that was we got a late start with enrollment. It took a while to work through the lease, and we wanted to make sure that we had everything correct before we move forward. The church felt that way, we felt that way, but because of that, we really didn't start enrollment until June.
Yeah.
And that's late.
Yeah.
That's really late.
What's the plan to get more students there? What are we doing? What are the the list of things that we're doing to fill those seats?
Right.
Because we should be promoting and doing that, still to try to get these students that want to come back, or maybe they're seeing what happens the first few weeks of school. Are we still advertising?
Yeah, we are. And that's a good point, Greg, because there are families who will start somewhere and then make a decision to move after a few weeks. And so we do want to try to capture families that may be looking for something different after school gets started. We are still marketing. We're not just on Facebook. When I say Facebook, you get all those pop-up ads. We're one of those. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but we get a lot of response from that. We actually did a television spot, so a TV ad, we've done everything that we did, a door-to-door. We passed out flyers. I think we hit about 10,000 homes in the area. So we are continuing to do those things, and we will continue. And this year, when we get to November, we will start marketing specifically for that campus in November when we open enrollment for January. So, we'll have time to really market in that area. But we are continuing to market because we're not going to give up. We enroll all year long if we have openings. So,
Yeah, we should not give up on the school.
oh, we're not.
We need to continue to make sure we're promoting hard and out. Someone's dedicated out to try to get the kids. I mean, what's our rate? Jane, what's our, I mean, is this the place to talk with it? Or like what's the break even on number of students?
Over there, we're talking about probably around about 100 kids.
I think we said 150 when we were planning 2 sections for grade level, but then I only hired 1 teacher per grade level. So it's closer probably to 100.
100-ish, yeah. Couple of things we try to figure out if we can, minimize the impact is, we're looking for, first of all, we received the ESSER2 and ESSER3 funding. Those funding are really supposed to be there to take care of some of the unexpected. And we are probably also, next month we found out is the hold harmless money, you guys heard about it. That could settle next month. We're anticipating receive some funding over there. That could be potentially $200,000 to $300,000 if my calculation are correct. And also there's a new facility funding. If you have a long-term lease for a new campus you opened, as long as the campus has a separate campus number, which we have one, that you could qualify for $1,000 per student funding for that particular allowance that's supporting your new facility.
Right, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
But that opens up in January. We can apply for that. And even though we've already opened the facility, we can still qualify for that new instructional facility allotment, which would help to offset some of our costs.
But there is an advantage too, honestly, to having small classrooms when you first open, because all of these teachers are new. They don't know the way we do the UME method. And so this will help them in a condensed setting to get used to it and to get to work with it. And then it'll make it easier when there's more students. So I mean, gotta see the good with the bad.
Positive, Susan. But I do agree with you. I do think, you have a lot of new people.
Yeah.
And so it does help to have a smaller environment.
Is there a targeted connection with the students who are the no-shows that could continue through the fall in case they're evaluating, like you say?
We have called every single no-show on every campus or tried to reach them. A lot of them, there was no response because if they made another choice, they don't really want to talk to us, right?
Sure.
Some of them, just decided to make another choice and they were honest about it. A lot of them did tell us that they decided to stay home this year. So, but we did contact every single person or tried to.
How much of this has to do with no virtual options over statewide?
Yeah, it could be. It could be no parent has actually said that to us, but that's a possibility.
I've heard just statewide, there's been a lot of discussion about that.
My only curiosity in asking that is maybe in October, they're a little weary of their choice. It could merit
Reach out to them again.
reconnections. Would you?
Yeah, we can
Have you
certainly do
reconsidered?
that. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, Carolyn Ignatz is our admissions director and she's done a great job and she has really followed through with parents and on getting information from them. So I have to give her some credit.
You probably already mentioned this. Did Dallas experience the same no-show phenomenon, or was it just Duncanville and Mansfield?
We had a few more than normal, but really not. No, I know.
Here we would
Explain
have been able
that to
to
me, David.
through the wait list. So here would have been not as big of a deal.
Yeah.
Say that again, I
I said
didn't.
here it wouldn't have been as near as big of a deal because of the
Right.
depth of the wait list.
You're right.
But But I think that's why, because they know that if they leave
You're gonna give them a
campus, they're
spot.
not gonna be able to get back in. So
That's a good point.
while in Duncanville and Mansfield, there's still a spot there.
And I'm sure Mrs. Ignace or the people that are on the waiting list know, hey, Mansfield's an option.
We have worn those waitlist people out. We have offered so many times. They're like, please don't tell me again that I can go to Mansfield or Duncanville. Yes, we have offered multiple times.
Well, they don't know what they're missing.
They don't.
Just wanted to quickly say a friend of mine from work enrolled her third grade daughter at the Mansfield campus and she loves it. So just fantastic.
We have gotten, I thank you for saying that, Chris. Great feedback from the parents. And I watch our little Facebook pages and it's so positive from the parents over there. Our kids are loving it. Everything's so great, you know, and the parents are saying, come join us.
There's two families that came from Waxahachie. There's two families that drive from Waxahachie to go to that campus. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, because it's easier to go that way than to go up 67.
We need to be hitting Midlothian because then it's just an easy drive up 287 now.
Yeah.
Do you have something you wanted to share?
I was gonna say, we've been helping the Mansfield new pack members with everything, and they are awesome. So we've taken them under our wing and trying to get them what they need and helping them out with the groups and the pages and everything. And they are wonderful. The three ladies I know so far, they're absolutely great.
That's great.
So,
Thank you for sharing that.
helps with that school too, to have 3 parents that are full in, and a few or maybe all 3 were only homeschooled before.
Any other questions? I'm sorry, Susan.
No, it's okay. At some point, we ought to like invest in the shade.
Was there any staff?
Or turn this way.
No, I kind of saw the handwriting on the wall and only hired 1 teacher per grade level. And some of what we call our specialty teachers didn't end up with full classes, but I gave them another assignment that needed to be filled anyway. So I was able to cut back on staff in that way. Any other questions?
Be expecting a budget amendment for sure, if not October, definitely November. We have to submit our budget number, board approve the budget number to TA before the end of November. Then we would like to get it as close as we can. That will help us for our charter first reading as well.
Okay. All right, y'all ready to move on? The next item concerns the TEA complaint that was actually filed with TEA against the previous board before you guys came on. And I did get an official letter from TEA saying that the case has been closed. This is what they say. The Texas Education Agency received a complaint regarding UME Prep. This letter will serve as a closure notification for the above referenced complaint review. The complaint alleged issues surrounding governance. And then it goes on to say, after a review of the allegations, evidence, and documents received from UME Prep, the TEA Special Investigations Unit has determined that UME Prep has addressed the reported concerns and were within the jurisdiction of TEA. Please consider this correspondence a notice of closure. So, very good news that that is finished. Ginger is not with us, but I will have to give her credit. She and I worked hard for all the documentation that had to be turned in to TEA to get us to this point. It was a lot. So I'm really grateful that we can put an end to that. So I just wanted you guys to know that.
Thank you. It's great.
All right, next is our charter first rating, and Jean has already talked about that, but I did put the official document in your file, and you can see, he told you we had a superior, we have 100 points out of 100. So we can't really do better than that. So I was really excited to get that report. That is our financial score with TEA. And I'm thrilled, and a lot of that has to do with Gene Zhu and his team. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions about that? Okay. All right. The next two things are action items, and they pertain to some of the things that are going on with TEA right now. The first one is called a waiver submission, and it has to do with House Bill 4545. House Bill 4545 is a piece of legislation that has been put in place to help us catch our students up because of COVID slide, because of academic concerns. So part of what House Bill 4545 says is that if we have a student who did not pass one of the state assessments, meaning STAR or EOC, that they have to be in a classroom with a certified as a master, exemplary, or recognized teacher for this school year. Well, that's not always actually possible. And so this is a waiver that was produced by Joe Hoffer's office, or a resolution that will give me the permission to file a waiver only if we need to, if we can't actually make this happen, that we can't place every single student who did not pass in a classroom of a master, exemplary, or recognized teacher. So it is an action item. You would have to approve that I can file this waiver if needed.
Do you know what the likelihood is that you will absolutely need to? I'm just curious.
I'm sure the likelihood is high because we have a number of students who are in this boat. And so I would say it's very likely that we will have to submit a waiver.
Do we have a number?
I don't have the number with me tonight, Greg, but we can get that number for sure. We have lists, we know our students. I don't have a total for you.
So what happens if we put in for a waiver and they don't grant it?
I don't think that will happen. I've never submitted a waiver that wasn't granted, and the answer is I don't really know. It's not ever happened yet. We would have to talk to our attorney and find out what our next course of action should be.
So the student just goes into the regular class?
Right, right. I mean, we have great teachers who are not in one of these categories. I mean, we do. So it's not like they're not getting what they need, and all of them are going to be in required tutoring. That's part of this whole bill. So they're going to be in those required tutoring sessions.
This is like for now, right? Like, so this is that saying that technically in school, those kids should already be in.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
Take place for the students.
The tutoring mostly will take place after school, and all those families will be notified shortly. We'll be starting sometime soon in September for the required tutoring.
That's part of our normal model anyway.
Right. We don't usually start in September though. We usually will wait till October, but we'll start earlier this year.
They're required to be at this.
In the tutoring, is that what you're asking, Greg? Yes, no choice.
If they don't comply,
Well, we'll do everything we can. We'll reach out to the parents. We'll require the parents to come in for a meeting. You know, we'll try to resolve it.
Are these the parents that had a choice between going to summer school or doing the tutoring?
Or is there more tutoring?
There's more
Okay.
tutoring. I mean, summer school did not meet the requirement.
Gotcha.
Yes, most of them were in summer school, but this is additional.
I'm looking at a document on the TA website that says, basically due to the challenges of doing this, we do not plan to strictly enforce compliance in the first year as long as districts are making reasonable efforts to meet the requirements.
Right, so that's what they've told us. You know, they've put a lot of do this on us to catch our students up, and we want to, but they have been very clear, you know, just show us that you're doing your very best to do what we've asked you to do, especially the first year, because it's a lot. And so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do our very best to comply with everything we've been asked to do for the good of our students. It's really for them, not just so we'll be in compliance.
To put it in perspective, some of the larger ISDs had to hire a lot of tutors. Like a lot of the retired teachers got dipped into to go on because so it's certainly something.
Yeah, it's a huge endeavor.
It is, yeah.
And this effort that you're talking about, the teachers and you giving, is exactly in line with what we talked about in previous board meetings. What we're trying to take, we're way through the blows that the pandemic hit us with, and bring us up to a level that's approaching.
Right. Well, we have to make a lot of progress. And so in order to do that, we really have to dig deep and do everything we can.
I see that this is a resolution that we end up signing. So
Right.
if we pass it here tonight, then we would be signing that, I believe, for the part. So are there any other questions before I move to that?
Yeah, sorry to ask so many questions this time. So are we have all the teachers in place to do the tutoring?
We're still working on that, Greg. Some of you know this. I've been doing school leadership for a very long time, and I've never seen a hiring season as difficult as this one. There's a huge teacher shortage, and so we really struggled. In fact, we still have maybe 2 or 3 openings. Oh, one? Did you hire somebody today, Susan? Okay. Making progress. Making progress. So we just have a spot here or there, maybe 2 in the whole district. I think there might be 1 extra teacher on the Mansfield campus that we need to hire. But in saying that, we don't have all of those tutoring people in place right now. We're working on it, and we'll get people. It's just been very challenging. But we're determined. I mean, ask these principals sitting over here. It's been so hard, but we have been relentless. You know, do you know somebody? Do you have a connection? So we'll find them.
More question. Now, is this for all grade levels?
This is for tested grade levels, 3 through 12.
And the reason, I just want to confirm, the reason why I was asking is if we're going to say we're going to offer, that by signing this, we're saying that we offer tutoring, and we're saying that we will do this. But if we don't have them in place, we're signing something that says, well, we're signing it, but we really can't do it at this moment.
We're
So
going to do it.
I know we're going to do it. I just want to make sure everybody's aware that what we're signing and what it means.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt we're going to get it.
Yeah. Yeah,
We'll
it's
figure out
gonna
how to
happen.
do it, but
Actually, the thing that we're signing just asks for a waiver for it's not saying.
It's not about the tutoring.
Right,
Really.
it
It's
doesn't
a
have-
waiver for the teachers.
It's a waiver to put them in those classes with a mastery level teacher.
And you said it's for all testing grades? I thought I was reading it like it stopped at 8th grade, but it's the.
Well, this
Yeah.
may be specifically through 8th grade, but the tutoring is for all grades, 3 through 12. But we're kind of mixing 2 things up because this resolution is not really about tutoring.
Right. Okay.
There's something about the MC in there as well, but maybe read that elsewhere.
She's
Yeah,
right
end
around here.
of course assessment.
Yeah, end of course assessment is our high school students.
That's the fourth whereas.
Yeah, so the third whereas is about eighth grade, and the fourth whereas, yes, is about our high school students.
Well, whereas we have this before us. I would like to entertain a motion that giving Mrs. Smith permission to authorization, that is, a motion giving Mrs. Smith authorization to submit this TEA waiver submission. One of you make that motion.
I move we allow to submit the waiver. Possible 45.
Second. Sorry, David.
It's okay.
All right, good discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, all right, we have another whereas. Next one, a resolution, and the bottom line of this resolution is that with the TA guidelines for this year, there is not really a guideline as of last year about how we pay our faculty and staff when they are out because of COVID. So last year, you know, we had all kinds of things in place that are not actually in place this year. So what TEA said was if your teachers are absent, they will use their sick days. Well, if we require them to stay home for 10 days, they've already used more than their sick days because they have 8 days with us. So this is a resolution that through this school year, meaning next July, that we will not count their, if they have a positive COVID test, that we will not count the days that they have to stay home because of COVID against their sick days. Does that make sense? So that they will be able to feel okay about being at home and it does not count against them. So I will have to have your approval to be able to move forward with putting that into place.
So we had some discussion, and I know I keep bringing this up, Kayla, but we had some discussion about the short-term disability versus long-term disability and paying that for them. Has that been looked at yet?
Right, we did look at that at length, and we did not end up doing it really because of the cost and because of the raise that we gave them. And we didn't feel like that the budget would sustain that for this year. But what we did do was we put a shared leave in place so that they can donate 2 of their days and then pull from a pool if something happens that is catastrophic or serious. So they do have a shared leave program that they didn't have before, starting this school year. And we will look at the short term and long term again. It just, you know, Brace and I did spend some time looking at it and really looking at the cost.
Okay. The reason I'm curious about it, because it would help with something like this.
Right. Yeah. I think the pool will also, you know, because they can use that.
We got with the Mansfield campus where we are there, we need to move forward and try to get some more students before we tackle that. But that should be on the short list to tackle. But we need to perform there at the Mansfield campus, and then we can look at other things that we can help you again.
Yeah.
This is for a maximum of 10 days per year or per occurrence? Being exposed, and then we quarantine for 10 days, and then a month later they actually get COVID. Does that restart the clock?
No, it says a maximum duration of 10 workdays. It says that's the maximum. A new qualifying reason for leave does not create a new entitlement. So it's 10 days per year.
10 work days.
Work days.
So it's going to add 10 days to what they have, which is 8. So it should, and then if they do join the shared pool, that's an option. They can pull from there also.
10 days would go, in a COVID situation, the 10 days clock starts first, and then they can start dipping into personal sick days and then
Right.
school
Right,
sick days.
that is correct.
And they have to be home 10 days, but that's not 10 work days. So they're probably not going to use all 10 days
Worst case scenario.
the weekend and, yep.
It says telework. It doesn't apply to employees who are able to telework. I'm gonna assume that that's like admin stuff.
Well, we don't have anybody.
Okay.
Telework.
It's just in there.
Yes,
Okay.
it's in here because it came from the attorney's office.
Questions?
Any other questions?
All right, so we're
Oh, I guess is this for children also in their family? It's just for them? It's just for the employee?
It's for the employee. The employee has to test positive.
Well, so I mean, there's qualifying reasons. Reason 3 says caring for a child.
Yeah.
Huh?
So it's an individual who must stay home because they've tested positive, must stay home because of close contact to individuals who tested positive, caring for a child who tested positive, or absent to obtain a vaccine and unable to work due to side effects because of the vaccine.
Okay, all right. I did not see the one about caring for the child, so.
That's gonna be, that could, I mean, for
Benefit.
isolated cases could be an issue because if you out for 10 days to take care of a child and then you get it on the
Yeah.
8th day, and then now you're extended out, and then so I mean, I don't know if there's some circumstance, I don't know if that's something we can address next board meeting, or maybe there's a special.
Well, it says that in C that there's an option for the board to authorize additional leave for a longer duration.
Okay, so it's in there.
Yeah.
So that'd be something case by case.
Yeah, you need to-
I think that's.
yeah.
this is a good benefit
Right.
needed. All right, would one of you voice a motion in favor of this?
Move that we accept this employee quarantine waiver per COVID necessary.
A second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. So when the meeting is concluded, let's not scoot out just yet, because we'll have 2 things to sign.
Okay, next on the agenda is just a COVID update. I did want to fill you in. Basically, things change weekly, almost daily, so it's hard to keep up. But something that our parent who spoke at the beginning of the meeting mentioned was parent notification. And in the original TEA guidelines for coming back to school, they had said, don't notify your parents this year. That did change last Thursday. So now we will be notifying parents and we will be posting on the website active cases. If your child, a student, scholar, is in close contact, meaning the same class, or they have a class, say it's a high school or junior high, you will get an email letting you know that your child was in contact with someone who tested positive for COVID. So we did already begin that. We started that this week, and we did post our cases for this week. We now have 8 students that are positive and 2 faculty members. I would say for the size of our school, that's really good for right now. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks because we've just come back to school. So we will see what happens. We're still following all of the TEA guidelines, which we are preparing a document that has all of that listed that will be posted on our website in the next week. So parents can see that. But we're doing all of our cleaning protocol that we had in place last year. The teachers are cleaning with the spray that we have specifically for COVID between classes, during the day, if it's elementary, when they leave the room or they come back, we're using hand sanitizer. At this time, per Governor Abbott, the masks are optional. There was a court case today. I don't know if you were watching it, but the Dallas County issue was in court today, and I watched until the end, and the judge ended the case, concluded without giving a verdict, but she will. I mean, it will come out. So I just want to be really upfront is that Scott and I were on a call today with Joe Hoffer about what that means for us. And he was really clear today that if this case ends with a, help me, Scott.
It would be a temporary injunction.
Right.
It would then be the law of the land.
Right.
That claiming its order would stand and masks would be required at that point.
Right. And so
In Dallas County,
in Dallas
Dallas
County,
County.
not Tarrant,
not Tarrant,
which is Mansfield County.
yes. So I'm getting there.
Okay.
So, so Joe's direct advice to us for his legal counsel was, if this injunction passes, then we need to comply to be legal. We need to comply. It does not apply to Tarrant County, and that has already come up with the families that are over there because they questioned that. And I don't believe that we can require those families to wear masks because they're in Tarrant County. So it will be different for our Mansfield campus than it will be for us sitting in Dallas County. That's a little odd, but it's just how things are right now. And, you know, we've had some honest conversation. We have people who feel very strongly on both sides of masks, and I totally understand that. I'm trying to be open to everything that people have to share and be listening and compassionate. But the bottom line is that as a school, we need to follow the law. And if our attorney says that that's what we need to do to be legal, then that's what we will do. So I just want to be upfront about that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know exactly what the outcome is going to be, but I'm sure there will be a decision tonight or tomorrow because she did end the case. And I was hoping that she would just say something, but she didn't. One way or the other. Scott, do you want to add, because you were on the call with Joe too?
I think you hit it all. You captured the things that I was anticipating we would mention.
Say how long the injunction would be.
He described it as a temporary injunction until such time that the Texas Supreme Court either affirms it or throws it out. So they would then have to then address that or choose not to.
I do like that they started making everybody post cases again. That's helpful. I mean, that is helpful, like last week. So.
Well, and I said this to Joe today. I'm always thankful for him, but especially in situations like this, because he has kept his clients up to date, day by day. I get his advice through an email. I texted him today on his personal cell phone and said, hey, do you have time for a conference with Scott and me? And he did that. And I just value those partners like Jean and Joe who really take care of us.
And I appreciate that he has clients all over the state. So he's keeping up with multiple jurisdictions, which are all over the grid with respect to how they're addressing those things.
We're saying time change is coming, and then we won't have to stare.
You're gonna be like, does anybody have questions about that? I'm trying to be transparent about everything that is going on. I can't make everybody happy, and that's unfortunate. But I do want to be transparent about where we are and what we can and can't do, and just what the situation is right now.
Well, I think in all things, what we're asking is for people to be respectful of each other's viewpoints. I mean, understanding that you can differ and that's okay. And just do that throughout all of our schools. So,
And the kids should all feel comfortable,
yeah.
regardless of what decisions come from where. It's not their fault, we're all in this together.
I think it's safe to say that all parents and kids had a different idea even 2 weeks ago about how this year would go.
Right.
And it's clear to see that there are extenuating circumstances outside of our control.
Yeah.
That happen every day.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm grateful that all of our kids are back. That's a good thing. You know, I saw how excited these kids were, and the kids that I saw could have cared less whether they had masks on. I mean, they were just excited to be in each other's presence and not have barriers between them and to be able to eat lunch together. And, you know, we'll get there eventually.
Joni and I had that conversation today, is that this isn't what we expected. We didn't expect to start school this way. We were so excited because we felt things were better and we were going to get to come back in normal, what we call a normal environment. You know, it didn't work out that way. We want to do what's best for everybody, but I think that what you said is really true, Jenna. Our students, our scholars seem very excited to be back. They don't say a word to each other about if somebody has a mask on or not. They just act like it's normal. If you choose to wear a mask, great. If you don't, that's fine. And you walk around the halls and some of them have masks on and some don't. And I don't know of a single one that has said anything to anybody. So, you know, kudos to our students for handling better than we do sometimes.
Amen to that.
You
got to give them some credit.
I would say that shows that those kids are by and large being compassionate. And that's good to see.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that like most things in life, there's an opportunity. We're trying to teach core values and character traits and respect for one another's differences, but also submission to authorities and to obey and discipline. You know, all of this comes into play. Our authorities tell us we have to follow a guideline and we have to follow it.
I agree. Other questions?
Says this is an action item, or is there any action?
Well, I just put action on there in case something came up we felt like we needed to vote on. It's not necessarily an action item. I don't feel like there's anything, especially in light of what's happening in the court. I feel like we're going to get a decision that makes a decision for us. So I don't know.
It's just allowing for the possibility that one of us may have wanted to make a motion of some kind. But as you said, with this case that is eminently going to be decided upon, I guess this week, yeah. Joe Hoffer expected the decision to come down at the end of the hearing. And I was watching it for a while, but it was long. I turned it off.
Too many whereases.
There's really no need for us to authorize anything. You're going to follow the law, whatever the law is. So.
That's.
We can authorize that. We're just going to follow this lead. I mean,
that's a little bit how I feel.
Nevada's like, we're just going to do whatever the state says to do. Las Vegas like, we're just going to follow that. We just say that. Whatever the state determines or whatever prevailing legal body is winning.
What if you see the numbers rise and you see that things aren't getting better?
Right.
Change then?
I think I would have to consult our attorney about what would be the appropriate thing to do. But yes, that's going to play into it too. As long as our numbers stay low, then we feel okay about where we are. But if things escalate, then of course we have to address that.
So I know that the TA changed their guidance on Thursday about the notifications.
Right.
And I know you said you don't start watching. That's okay.
You were very harsh.
I know, I'm going to come destiny. And the notification, so does that mean I guess I'm trying to figure out, okay, does that mean anything that we were reporting to you as a Friday is a notification?
Right. It's a week at a time. So it's like from Sunday to Sunday, and then we report on Monday.
So I know the website updates happen like that, but I mean, the notification to the parents would happen.
Oh, the notification is gonna happen immediately when we know. We're gonna notify the parent. So the day we know, we're gonna send you an email. Yeah, we're not gonna wait on that.
A question on that, what's the recourse for the parents? I mean, they're notified, there's been a case in the class.
Right.
They can't keep their kids home, right?
They can, this is what TEA says. A parent may choose to keep their child home, but it's not the same as last year where we didn't count those as absences. It will be counted every day as an absence and our school will not be funded.
They could, with that knowledge, choose to go get tested.
They can choose to get tested. They can, yeah. But if you know your child has been in close contact and you choose to keep them home, that is your prerogative as parents. But your child will be absent the days that you choose for them to be home.
And in terms of school consequences, there wouldn't be school consequences.
No, I mean, we have talked to our teachers and they'll willingly provide your work for you and whatever, you know, your child needs to stay caught up. Our teachers are really good about that. But unlike last year, it does count as absences. There's no such thing as quarantining people, you know, unless you actually have a COVID case.
So if it's a student that tested positive and they have, let's say they have a few siblings that come to school, do the siblings, so they're not required to stay home until they test positive.
Right. Only the person who tests positive. Not even family members.
Are they required to get tested?
No. Well, if we report them as a positive COVID, we have to have a test. I mean, they have to have been tested. They can't just say, oh, I think I might have COVID.
I was asking about the siblings.
No, there's no requirement for testing.
I think that's where.
Do we require that for any other, because I know that right now there's a few other things going around.
Right.
That are pretty contagious, like strep, stuff like that. Do we require that? What do we require for those things?
Nothing.
No. I couldn't remember.
Were you gonna say something, Greg? Any other questions?
I just have one more question. So if the kiddo, the student actually tests positive, those absences do not count against them.
I can't understand.
If the student tests positive,
Right.
it does not count against them, those absences the same way that
Does.
I thought that changed. Okay.
No, everybody's absent this year.
Okay.
So if you stay home, you're absent, which we want them to stay home, right? If they're sick, we want them to stay home. Just as a board, remember that our percentages may be high for absences, which affects our funding. So we just keep that in mind as we move forward.
Not requiring the siblings to stay home, that's a state.
That's a TEA requirement.
That's where a lot of this, you know, I mean, we have it here. Siblings got it and the other ones came back to school and then now the siblings have it and they expose other people to it, you know, the whole class to that, so.
Right. So it is just, that's what I said about how different it is this year, because by TEA, I cannot require anybody to stay home unless they have a positive test.
And the absence is really because there's no tele option, right? There's no virtual learning.
No.
That's really why it is.
It's not. So the schools that are offering a virtual option are paying that out of their own money that they have saved. So, you know, for example, a large district may have gotten $50 million of ESSER money. So they probably can afford to run a virtual school for a certain amount of time. Some of them are doing it for the first 9 weeks. We don't have the funds to be able to run a whole virtual school. TEA has said nobody can require a teacher this year to do what everybody was doing last year, which is meaning they were teaching in-person students and virtual students at the same time. We cannot do that. So we can't ask teachers to do that. So we don't have an option except to build a virtual school online, which some big districts are doing that out of their own pocket.
That means staffing it with dedicated virtual.
Staffing it, only dedicated to virtual schooling.
Are we in contract with any of those people to allow our students to do that and still not be able to still get funding for it?
They're not getting funding for it. They're not getting any funding for those students.
But if they were still going online, it's still, there's no way to.
No, we don't get any funding for students.
The TEA said they will not fund virtual students.
So 100% of that cost is being paid by the district out of monies they have, whether it's us or otherwise. It's not coming from state funding.
That's correct. Things may change if numbers continue to go up. Then I have seen the TA guidelines change every week. So maybe that will change when they see. I mean, if we really get in a tough situation, then that might change. But for now, that's what they're saying.
The last thing I'll ask, our company, we have people that come in and do COVID testing for the employees. This is not here, but in our corporate. Is there any way that we can offer something for, like, if a person does think, or they tested positive, is there a way that we can offer like a COVID test here so that before they go home, before we send their siblings home, we can give them COVID tests? I don't know if that's something.
Well, there is a program through TEA to have COVID testing in your school. Frankly, I did not sign us up for that because I don't know if you guys know, but our nurse just is having to leave us. So I have 2 brand new nurses, one for the Dallas campus and then one person that the Duncanville Mansfield campuses are sharing. So I have not felt really confident in our ability to really run that. There is a possibility that we could do that. You just have to be careful. You can't ever test a student without a parent's permission. There are caveats to it. But yes, there is a program for in-house testing. And it could be a possibility.
Feel more comfortable doing it,
at school instead of.
Where, the kids, they don't have to go to Walgreens, set up an appointment, they have to do it.
Right. So in the past, we had a health clerk at Duncanville, not an RN. And so now I actually have 2 RNs that are working for us. So I feel like moving forward, I would feel more comfortable with putting something in place. I just have not felt like we were ready to do that. Yeah, and I do think it would be a service. Other questions? Good. Okay. All right. Let's talk about something a whole lot more fun. Look at I put a little document in your packet about our new building possibility. We are still just in a discussion kind of phase. I have had one in-person meeting with the architects in the last month and one virtual meeting, and they've come up with some really preliminary drawings. So you can see what they're proposing. If you look at the first drawing on the left side of the paper, the black and white is the building that we're sitting in right now. And then the color is this lot below us. The green is the gym. And then the other little rectangle is actually 7th and 8th grade classrooms, and it's a stacked 2-story building. so that you have about 14 classrooms there that would accommodate 7th and 8th grade. So again, this is super preliminary. You know, we got a long way to go, and I'm just feeling a little bit like we want to be careful moving forward because we're uncertain about COVID. We're uncertain of, you know, our enrollment is not what we really projected for this year. So, you know, Jean and I have talked about what does our next step need to be. And so we're planning to have a meeting with what we would call all parties, architects, construction crew, bond people, Jean, me, and just talk about the wisdom of how we move forward and some kind of timeline. I do not want to get us in a situation that we're not really ready for. So this is all just talk right now, but I do want to show it to you. They showed me some other kind of ideas about what the building might look like, and I'm over the top excited about this project, but again, I want to be wise.
I was a little curious because I was looking and is there a reason for this little insert, like the little,
like that little triangle thing that connects?
No, the fact that it's not a rectangle, it's like a rectangle and then it goes in and then up and then it's a square at the end. I was just curious why.
Well, that's a hallway down the center of it. So it's one building.
No, I know, but at the end, do you see that there's a, it's narrower and then it widens again?
Yeah, I don't know. No, you're talking about on this end, Susan, down here. Yeah,
I mean, it just seems like a waste of space.
Yeah, I don't really know. I'm sure
I'm like, why are we wasting this?
They have a purpose for that space. It could be, I don't really know. We haven't really gotten into that much detail yet. So I'm not sure.
That's storage, like for pack stuff. There you go, guys. And others.
Well, there's going to be storage for athletics, so possibly we would free up space in this building.
Oh, cool.
Because we have a fairly large space right now that athletics is housed in.
I would just speak up on behalf of PAC. They need a room.
Yeah.
If the way PAC's going, if we want to maintain that, she doesn't say that.
Yeah.
So PAC needs a room here because there's a lot of good things happening with PAC. Out there with it, seeing what's happening. But PAC is a very important part of our culture and character at the school. And I'll tell you that, you know, we cannot afford to get away from character because our school needs to be based on character and maintaining that character that we have for the school. And we've grown so much, we've lost some of that, I think, that we need to, that's why it's important that PAC and everything instills in the parents. You have a responsibility. You have to, you know, that's what that time when you get off at 1:30 or 1:40, whatever the time to whatever. That's the parents' responsibility. And we need to make sure that parents are involved and parents is doing a real good job of bringing that back into the.
Yeah, I hear you. We're really beefing up our parent equipping program this year, trying to get back on board with that. And absolutely, I could not say enough about how much I value PAC and the part they play in our school district. If I had one single room, ask these principals that are sitting over here, I would have already given it to PAC. Every single room is full of students. So that's why we need this building, because we've already outgrown this building and it's only 2 years old. And that's a good thing, but we don't have space. Right. You know, we don't have space that we really need for some things that are very important. So I'm really hoping that this comes to fruition.
It looks like this has 14 classrooms.
Exactly.
Is that what we were looking for? Wasn't there a range we were looking for?
12 to 14.
I'm guessing there's no more additional space to put 16 in, or 14's the max.
Well, they're probably at the top of our budget right now or over. So every square foot that you add, it's more money. So, you know, we just have to be careful. I mean, maybe we could add a couple more rooms, but.
Take out that little word.
But the goal is to support 6 sections all the way through K through 12 on the Dallas campus.
Not K through 12.
No.
7 through 12.
7 through 12. 4 for the elementary and
Right.
2 for Duncanville, so
Right.
6, 7 through 12.
Is there a point in time when, so you're talking about being careful, being cautious in our current situation, COVID and other things? Is there a point in time when we have to realize the growth coming from the Duncanville campus will force us into making that?
Well, one thing that we have done this year is, if you guys have walked around this building, we did not put partitions in those large lab rooms. That the plan was not to spend the money when we built the building. But we did spend money this summer. It's not completed because of COVID. We had problems getting materials. But there are partitions going in the 3 large lab rooms. So we created 3 more rooms in this building for now. So we should be good for 2 to 3 years. But if I would say 3 at the max. So if we don't have something planned to be finished in about 3 years, then we will definitely be out of space.
Construction timeline for this type of project is?
I would say about a year. I mean, that's just construction. It's going to be at least 2 years for
Like 2
the
years,
project.
about 1 year to make this.
1 year to work through the city and the planning, and a year of construction. And that's minimum.
Our current wait list on this campus alone, could we fill those classrooms?
I don't think we'll have a problem filling the classrooms because we're going to fill them as we, now we have 5 sections for 7th and 8th. And as those students move up, we're going to continue to have 5 sections. Next year, we'll have 5 sections of the next grade, then the next grade. And so when we get this building done, we will have most of our students in place to move. So I don't foresee an issue filling it at all.
Yeah, when I look at this campus and this deep bench of wait list that's sitting there, it looks like it's just prime for additional classroom space.
Right.
And so the concern areas are largely on the other campuses, not this.
That's correct.
Well, I know that, not to set the expectation too low, but my 5th grader was very excited to get a locker this year. So I think that she'll be, when we're
Get ready for a new building.
she'll be like, wow.
So what's the current timeline? You mentioned there's a meeting coming up and then.
Well, we don't really have a timeline yet, Chris. That's really what the meeting will be, to try to talk through what that timeline might look like. So we really don't have any timeline set.
That's scheduled.
We haven't set the date of that meeting yet. I mean, it should happen in the next month, hopefully before the next board meeting. It's quite a few people we need to get together, so it'll take some time to make that happen, but hopefully in the next month.
Same architect as this building?
No. Yes. It's the same construction crew, but not the same architect.
Simple.
Yes, so we've already worked through about, we have all of the specifications and the materials. So the plan is to use the same materials so that the buildings look similar and mirror each other. So the outside will have the same stone and all of those things. So yes, I've already talked to the architects about that. We do want it to be cohesive. We good? Any other questions?
While we're on building stuff, did all of the.
That's a good question. I did not put that on the agenda. Yes, we're almost complete in the other building. If you haven't been in it from the renovation, there are still some things like toilets that are not installed, right, Joni? But we're getting there. They ran out of flooring, and of course, they're having a hard time getting additional flooring. And so there are things that are not quite complete, but we're almost there. Still dealing with the insurance about payment and especially fixtures at this point, furniture and fixtures. So we haven't gotten to a settlement on that. Y'all can tell there's been a lot going on and the insurance has really been tough, but we're still working on it. And I now have a mediator that our insurance agent provided me. So hopefully we can make some headway.
Tony, are you still in the
That's what I was gonna say. Are you still in the hall?
Yep, she's still in the hall.
In her exclusive office in the hall.
The best thing about being in the hallway though is the fact that on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, they're having PE in the auditorium nonstop all day. And so it's just background music.
This is a Mrs. Holder thing to say.
Can I just tell them about the water bottle, Mrs. Smith?
Oh, please do.
This morning I said, Kayla and I were kind of discussing today, and I said, well, I knew I was in trouble this morning when somebody ran over a water bottle in the car line and it sprayed all over me. And not all over me, that's an exaggeration, it was really from the knees down. But the guy rolled down his window and he was very apologetic. But at least it was water and not like juice. Crazy stuff. Okay, I'll put my mask.
Thought you looked hot. He thought you looked hot.
Yeah, in the afternoon, we would have loved that water.
This is true. Yes, we're almost there. I mean, I would say a couple more weeks. Cross your fingers. We're getting there. Okay, we good to move on? All right. The next thing on, and the last item under me, is the performance objectives that I promised you guys for this month. And you can see that I took our 3 areas that we came up with in our workshop meeting with Dr. C, and then I listed specific objectives under each one of those. So feedback, I would love to have your thoughts, your feedback. Are you good with?
I thought they incorporated all of our comments. I mean, we had some pretty specific things that we discussed, and when I went through them, it seemed to be that you
Take
captured
good
all of
notes and really, think about what we had discussed in the meeting and what, of course, we feel like is important this year as we move forward, and incorporate that in what I came up with. Some of these things have already happened. Some of these things I've already put into place. People hired and other things, so that's good. And other things will take the whole year.
And I just got a principal newsletter, which was cool.
Yeah. So the principals are going to be doing newsletters regularly.
Yeah.
Right, principals? Yeah. And we're all on board with that. What did Susie say?
Probably just put your thumb up, Susie.
We wanted to share the light with you. So, we pushed it that way.
These things seem to be generally measurable. Some of them are quite measurable. Others, it's either it's on or it's off.
We did it or we didn't, right?
So that's good.
Yeah, I tried to make them measurable so that either, did we accomplish it or not?
I'm excited about actual clear direction and
something that you can see.
So based on what our enrollment was this year in Duncanville and Mansfield, do you think that these percentages would be attainable for them?
Yeah, I wrote this before that enrollment. You know what? I've thought about that, Susan, and I'm committed to leave it. We're going to work really hard. I really, really want to get there. If we don't, then it'll be an area that we didn't meet our goal. But I really don't want to lower it. I don't know if you guys feel differently, but
Considering the stretch goal. It's always good to have stretch goals.
Well, that's a real stretch goal, 95% in Duncanville, 75.
And there are circumstances though, that we didn't even realize until like we talked about, right before school, that we couldn't have
Right.
with this. So
I mean, I'm
that's good.
open to changing those, but I did think about it and I thought, no, I'm just gonna leave it.
I mean, they're your goals. So
Right,
if you feel
right.
strongly that you
I
want
don't want to fall
As long as they're
though.
reasonable.
Yeah.
All parties feel like they're reasonable goals. I don't want to set anybody up for failure. Nothing. It's impossible to reach it.
I would only say if you wanted to set a realistic target based on what we know now as a floor, and then have this, existing number be the ceiling or a stretch goal, like I mentioned. And that gives you a range to work within.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, maybe change it to a range.
do a range.
it's not just a binary.
Yeah.
Crazy goal to have.
What do you guys think? I mean, you think we should change the Duncanville and Mansfield enrollment goals to be a range or?
I don't think it's necessary because we know the challenges.
Situation,
We know
yeah.
the situation.
Yeah.
We're gonna say, hey,
Give you grace on
we
that.
fell short, we understand the reasons, let's try again next year.
Can't exactly hold you responsible for no shows.
Well,
You know,
right.
you can say, well, we're not coming to see Mrs. Smith.
Yeah. Right. I mean, you're going to be doing the evaluation, so I see what you're saying, Blake, because you decide, how you evaluate that.
There's not any built-in punishments. We all understand the context.
I think the word that you mentioned was relentless, and you have a lot of relentless people working for you. We have a relentless tech president that's going to, we can talk about that. That's gonna ensure that we have as much of an experience for the students as possible this year. We didn't get that last year.
It's so true.
And when you don't have those things that tie you to a community and you as a parent can't come in, like last year and nobody can come see, we already started off this year with the Meet the Teacher. We didn't get to have that, right? Those are the kinds of things that make people have buy-in to a community.
Yeah.
And when you don't have that, it's hard. But I think this year, I have no problem with these numbers because all I see is relentlessness in all aspects. So, I mean, we didn't even think you're going to be able to open up the other campus by the time this year started, and that happened. So,
I mean, it's tough to do anything new, right? This kind of environment, but getting a charter and getting a campus number from TA during their leadership transition is extraordinary. I mean, getting just a 3-digit number it's hard. We tried so hard to get a number for this building, we just failed. We couldn't get it. We tried so many times. With my team of experts that reach out to TA and reach out to other people that has connections to TA, we still didn't get it. But we got one at Mansfield.
I feel like if we were the ones imposing these numbers on you, it'd be totally different. But since this is coming from what you think y'all can do, that changes things a little bit. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm the one who set those numbers.
Great, I'm like, great, let's see them.
I just wanted to check to see if you were, yeah, still, thank you. I appreciate that, Susan.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Any other input? Good.
Very good.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Mrs.
All right,
Smith,
thank you,
for all
guys.
that. All right, well, we're going to move into the next part of our agenda, which is considering how well UME Prep is achieving in the school, which is where we can bring in Wesley Todd and her report. So Leslie, I'll go ahead and go to you for your PAC report.
Thank you. Yes, everyone's really excited this year to be back here on campus because of the relative absence of PAC last year and not being able to do all the things in person that UME loves to do to make everyone feel like it's a united family. They're so excited to have so many things planned. So one of the primary goals for PAC this school year is to promote unification of the PAC organization district-wide. So instead of having 3 separate meetings, PAC will hold a monthly meeting joining all 3 PACs for Dallas, Duncanville, and Mansfield. And the first meeting is scheduled tentatively for the 2nd Tuesday in September. So far, PAC has hosted some fantastic events already this month to ring in the new school year. The first senior sunrise celebration was held to commemorate the beginning of the school year for the class of 2022. It was a great success and a memorable event for the senior class. PAC also hosted a skate party at Redbird Skateland for the rising 7th graders, which was a fun event for over 100 students and parents in attendance. The 4th and 6th grade was scheduled for tonight, right, for Redbird Skateland as well. Back to school night was huge, and it proved to be an outstanding opportunity to recruit volunteers and increase parent involvement in future activities. PAC received over 100 volunteer forms for the Dallas and Duncanville campuses, which is unprecedented, and it's very exciting for PAC. Mansfield campus also had great interest expressed in volunteer recruitment as well, and so PAC is working diligently to process those forms. To further encourage the active engagement and connection of the UME community, PAC is planning new programs this year, one of them being the Silver Stars for UME prep grandparents to meet monthly. The next program they're planning is for Mentoring Families program that would allow current UME families of each grade level to partner with families that are new to UME to welcome them and aid in their transition into the UME family. Also, they're planning a quarterly PAC Attack meeting, and that would allow UME families the opportunity for feedback and fellowship directly with the PAC. There's a huge list that Lisa Burleson, the president of PAC this year, has been so wonderful in having that list established up front at the district-wide PAC meeting. And so overall, PAC is looking forward to parent and grandparent engagement in school activities and is actively planning and coordinating exciting events for all the campuses this year.
Thank you, Leslie. I just want to say that I'm thrilled to hear these things because over 100 volunteers. I remember the days when the school first began, when my kids started here many years ago, and the level of parent engagement at that time was crazy high. People were excited, people were engaged, and those things have shifted as we've grown. Those things happen, but I see through your efforts, through this board's efforts, and through the staff and faculty and administration, collective efforts, what we see is a reinvigorating of that. We talked at our planning session with you and Dr. C about what would we like to see change. Well, some of that is the engagement of families, that they would understand what it is that they have, the gift that UME Prep is. Greg, you're talking a minute ago about how the character of this school, shaping character, but also what is the culture and the character that makes it so good. That's why this is so exciting. And it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of people really leaning in and dragging this thing up the hill. But wow, it's going to be a mountaintop experience when we get there, and then maintaining that, developing leaders from within those volunteers. So that's so commendable. And on behalf of the board, I just want to say to anyone who's listening and all of you who are here, thank you. This is good.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
All right, so the next section here.
Question.
Yes, sorry, Chris.
Is that report already in the Google Drive? I'd love to actually read through everything that you said, so I didn't see it.
Yes, so I will upload it. I tried, and it said it don't have permission to upload.
If you will send it to Lori Campbell, then she will put it on the Google Drive for you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. All right, so next we're going to go over to committee reports. What we're looking for here is just a brief update. What's happened recently, what's anticipated that's coming. Some committees have been very active, others a little less so just because of circumstances, whether that be the summer or start of school or what have you. So I would like to proceed through those committees. Apparently I'm on the first two, so I'll just keep talking. The executive committee, well, we had the planning session with Dr. C. We now have performance objectives. So that's one of the things that the executive committee was working toward was, well, number one, to establish how would we actually objectively evaluate Kayla's Smith's performance. Well, we needed to first of all have a contract for her that made sense. We walked through that time period and looking at job description, looking at these goals. So those are wins. So in coming days, we can look at what would be the next hills we might want to take in these realms. In many ways, the executive committee exists to kind of be on call. If something arises that seems slightly to be a shiny object we need to pay attention to, that team can join together. So that's one of the reasons that it exists. So that's a brief summary for the executive committee. Anybody else have any thoughts on that? Like, sure. Okay. Next would be the governance committee, and I kind of would maybe table that one to the end because we're going to be talking about the board module 2, which has been the things that Chris and Jenna and Mrs. Smith and I have worked on. That's been the lion's share of work that we've looked at doing this summer is the board policies, making sure that we are incorporating Joe Hoffer's changes into our policies that exist here. It's interesting to me now that we've done the series 1 and series 2. I don't know if I'm writing module 1, module 2, how invariably we end up using some of these policies. We see them popping up as resolutions or points that get put out to the teachers and the families. And so I just say that that's commendable because Mrs. Smith has to not only have the policies, but then her staff has to implement them. So we would expect that, but it's nice to see it happens. So let's move on if we turn to the next committee, which would be the finance committee. Greg Burleson.
So, we're one that's been kind of idle for the last couple of months, but prior to that, we worked with Kayla and Jean and Brance to do the teacher pay increases, and that was a big, pretty big milestone for us. We thought we would be working through that through the rest of the year and be able to complete that, get that ready for this year. So that was something that everyone was excited about. The next meeting, this finance meeting, not aware of, but this we're going to start next month. We'll resume monthly meetings or every other month. The big one is to look at the budget. Is there something we need to tweak, or is there something there that we need to look for? And we'll be looking at those with Jean and trying to see if there's something we need to look at.
Great, thank you. Thanks. All right, next is the development committee and Jenna.
We've done nothing all summer. No, I'm just kidding. We have done a lot of things all summer. And so we actually set a goal for this year. And I just want to thank you all for your commitment towards that goal of our library, to get our library stocked with books. We set a $30,000 goal. And just to show how excited these parents were to give us anything that we asked for, like just sign up for volunteer, we actually raised $3,678 towards that goal. Thank you guys at the Duncanville campus for helping us with that. I was able to go over to the Mansfield campus and introduce myself and kind of tell them what we're doing. And then over here, they just were, what can we do to help? So that was really amazing. And we'll continue that goal to get that done. That was going to be our very first goal to get done. So we've been working on that all summer, and you'll hear more from me and all of our committee members to ask for more money as we go through the year. So, yeah.
Excellent, thank you. And the last committee is the Stakeholder Engagement Committee. David.
Absolutely. I'm kind of Greg, so we've been a little idle throughout the summer. We will be ramping up our meetings. Super excited to have Leslie as the parent board rep joining that. Because I think that the focus of the Stakeholder Engagement Committee for the next season will likely be a lot of these parent equipping initiatives, starting with Kayla and then and with PAC. And then, so definitely on the parent equipping side, and then on the student engagement side. The student stakeholder group, we haven't really touched and engaged with at all. And we had talked about in our last meeting, talked about how we do that well, and even usually asking if a couple of board members could come in and sit in on student government meetings and meet some of those students who are highly engaged and highly involved in the student body, and just starting to listen more to the student body and see how we can insert ourselves in a way that would be most meaningful to the student. So those are the two focuses that we're going to be talking about. We'll spin up our meetings in September.
Great, thanks. So there was in the Google Drive the committee names and the participants. Leslie, I don't know if you learned by reading that you were on the committee.
Welcome aboard. I did see that.
Right, yeah, and that's why I forgot to bring it up. I forgot because I didn't see it on there. So the grievance committee, what would you have to say about that?
Well, per Joe Hoffer's advice, the grievance committee worked really hard and did what they were asked to do. They developed a new grievance process for us that is now in every handbook, employee, student, board policy handbook. So thank you to the grievance committee, Susan, who led that, and everybody who served on that. This is what Joe said moving forward, where we thought that it was wise to set up a grievance committee to hear grievances that might come to the board. Joe said that's really not what you should do. Your entire board should be a part of hearing a grievance that's brought to the board level, not just a committee of your board. So Stott and I talked, and Stott said, well, really, we just need to dissolve that committee. They've done their work for now. And then, if we need to add a committee at some point, we can, but that's why you don't see them on the list any longer.
Yeah, our policy actually wrote us out of existence.
It did.
So,
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd like to incorporate you all into the development committee for, no, I'm just kidding.
Gotta be careful of quorum.
Joe Hoffer's little on your shoulder warnings.
So true.
Okay, thank you for remembering that. Thank you very much.
Right.
I could have doubled it. I could have dissolved myself.
All right, so the next thing here is basically it's a pitch, an encouragement from me. There have been, let's see, 1, 2, 3. There are 4 board members that are signed up, and Mrs. Smith as well, for the Texas Public Charter School Conference in October. The dates are October 27th to 29th. You would be able to scoop up a whole lot of professional development there, and some of the required hours for learning that we do have. So there's a perk for going. It would require that our day jobs are set aside for a few days, because they are, I believe they're all weekdays, at least 2 weekdays. Yeah, so that is a reality there. So I know that would be a sacrifice for anyone who chooses to do it. I would encourage you to look long and hard at that. I think it also can be some times of camaraderie building and fellowship and connection that we'll get to do just because we'll be there together. It's not the same thing as our retreats that we did. We would like to look at doing something like that again, perhaps the second semester. But right right now, this is an opportunity in front of us. So October 27, 28, 29, just make a little point, look at it, see if you can make it happen. I'd love to see you join us for that.
So I'm just gonna add, because it's usually amazing, and some of you have been, Jean's there every year. We usually end up somewhere together. But because it's in Dallas this year, it's so convenient for us when it's not always in our hometown. And the other thing is, I did go on the conference website this week, and they do have an all virtual option. So if you're not comfortable going in person, you can choose to attend virtually. As Scott said, the camaraderie when we go together is really great. I mean, it's really fun for us to spend that time together, talk about sessions that we've been to and how that might impact our school. But if you aren't comfortable doing that, they do have a virtual option.
Instead of pick sessions to go to, or like it's just go?
You choose sessions, like it's like a big conference, so they're gonna have like tons of sessions each hour.
Crazy.
I can't remember.
Yes.
I know I looked at it. Am I on there?
No.
I know I looked at it. I thought it was something.
Can you attend partial days?
I don't, you can attend, I think you have to pay for all of it, but and the school pays your fee to go. So, but I think you have to pay for the whole thing. You don't have to attend all day, every day. I mean, if you can't give that much time.
This counts against our hours, right?
Yes.
All of the presenters are approved, so everything you go to will count.
I was gonna say, when do our hours start over?
Yeah, they start over like
Just successfully knock out.
I think it's,
So the extra ones I did last time don't move forward, that's.
I think it's September. I think they start over. Sorry, Susan.
That's all right. That's all good. I don't go just for that.
All right, so the next thing on the agenda is the school board officer election. And I think, well, just to kind of remind us, at our last meeting in June, we had nominations that came forward. We've had time to consider those, and now is the time when we'll be voting. And since the first is the board chair opportunity, Jolene, if you would take over doing that.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table from 2 months ago, dust the cobwebs, to elect Scott Graves as the board chairman, and it was seconded. So those in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Welcome, Mr. Board Chairman.
So it's humbling for sure. I'm honored. I alluded before to being here in the beginning, being part of the founding families. You know, 4 of our kids are off in college, and 1 is still here. I never would have thought, after I went to that first meeting when Grant Barker and a number of others were making a pitch for UME Prep, I'd be sitting in this seat. Did not see that coming. But God does interesting things in your life when you are open to his leading. So I'm blessed to be here. The next thing would be to move to the vice chair position, and Blake Flickner was nominated for that position. And I would like to ask for approval of that one. So all in favor of Blake Flickner as becoming the vice chairman, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I did a little look to my left before I moved on.
Yay, congratulations.
Yeah.
The next is the treasurer position, and we had 2 people that were nominated. I believe they nominated each other. Which was a unique situation.
Arm wrestle for it.
So Greg Burleson was nominated and David Howard was nominated. So just would ask, do both of you still want to remain open for nomination?
I do have some significant concerns about the amount of time and bandwidth. I realize that you've already sacrificed and done it and given a good amount of time. So I would be willing to do it, but it would be a significant stretch for me from a time perspective. So
I'm fine.
that'll be dinner.
I got it. You got it next time.
I think I heard him say you owe you dinner.
I owe you a big dinner. Call it a finance committee meeting, we'll have a big dinner.
Longhorn's open enough to say, I'm on 161.
You owe Lisa a big dinner,
I do. And they're both packed.
Y'all owe Lisa a big dinner, for sure.
He just likes to act one so he can have his garage.
David, are you officially retrieving your name from the list?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, all in favor of Greg Burleson continuing in the treasurer role, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Motion passes. Congratulations. Thank you and congratulations. Next would be the secretary position, which Jolene is currently occupying, and she is the lone person that was nominated for that role.
She's crushing it.
Yeah. I didn't present that the right, because she's crushing it. She was nominated. So I would ask for approval of this one as well. So all in favor of Jolene continuing as secretary, say aye.
Aye.
Additional votes from the audience. All opposed? All right, congratulations, Jolene. Yeah. Dr. Flicker didn't get his round of applause.
I know.
We're all laughing at that.
I didn't know if you wanted them.
Yeah, I don't know. She wants attention on himself all the time.
All right, next thing here in the other information category, we've been given access to the board module 2. It is the instruction module, and all the final changes were made to those. Mrs. Smith and the governance committee is willing to give them a vote of confidence. But just so you know as well, on your Google Drive, if you look under the governance documents folder, you will find board policies. And underneath that, you will find the module 1 series, which was governance, and the module 2 series now is instruction. So those are all available for you there to pull up at any time. So was there any further comments or question? Anything that if you had time to look in and dig into any of those that you would like to seek clarification on?
It's riveting reading. I'm sure you guys read all of them, right? Very exciting. Yeah, very.
So I was just curious,
Yes.
is there a possibility for like a change document for these things? Like, not for, oh, we changed a, no, I mean, like, just an overview of the major changes.
Well, this is all new to us now. Moving forward, we can probably do that, Susan, but because we have adopted Joe's policies, it's all different from what we had in the past.
Yes.
So, but don't you think moving forward?
Yeah, we could do
we
that
just
moving
do
forward.
a change.
Before the 7 or 8 board policy series, Joe in his office brought things from various parts of the 1 through 800 or whatever, and moved them into the 100 or the 200. And so the change document would be
right. And added a
quite
lot. I'm just going to say, these are much longer than what we had before. So there's a lot, it's a lot more. So
it brings it up to state standards, whereas in the past it's possible that they weren't there.
When we were reviewing them, we really just were reading them as they were. We didn't really refer back to the previous policies, just reviewing as they were, knowing that Joe's already done the work of lifting and shifting. So, and we really didn't find much at all to change from the template he provided.
There were some cool things in there. What did we say? There's a couple of cool things that were added that we thought were kind of neat. Now I can't remember.
No, I don't.
I was like, oh, that's cool that that's in there.
I made a hard.
Just know that there's some cool stuff that's in there, Susan.
This is just the 200 series. So, I mean, it's a large document. So, there are only.
Oh, it's got curriculum stuff in there.
Yeah.
That's what was cool. It was like, there was some really cool things about what TEA was requesting of, you know, CTE and stuff like that. That was what I thought was really neat.
Yeah, we learned there that high school students, UME, the school is expected to provide and even pay for an SAT once each year, one time a year. When my kids went through, we paid for that, but someplace else. That was a discovery we made as we read that benefits that the state requires, what the school is doing.
And that students can use experience, internship experience. What was it?
I think it was for.
Like to work with different companies, right?
Right.
They needed
I mean, it did address internships, which we have done in the past.
Yeah.
We have not done the last 2 years, but yeah.
It really is really cool.
One thing that was interesting in our meeting was just the sheer volume of the special celebration times that are required to happen. Whether that would be Generation Texas Week, Texas History Month, Awareness, Hydrocephalus Awareness Month.
That's right. I saw you. You're like, what?
Yeah. So, yeah. Yes. So, and the comment was, who on staff makes sure that we do these things? How do they actually get celebrated?
That helps with some of those things?
Yeah, we're gonna have to take that list and make sure we're recognizing those things.
Hydrocephalus Awareness
I think that
Month. It's a whole month.
you put a poster in the hallway.
So is mental health awareness on this?
I stopped taking notes. There were so many of them. I was like,
I'm just curious.
Y'all make some amendments? Get rid of some of that?
No, that's state.
Yeah, those are
Oh,
required.
Required, yeah, that's what I got.
Not our choice.
Yeah.
That's very, like, what?
Texas Girls in STEM Day. Sam Rayburn.
So are we publishing these on our website as they go, or are we waiting until they're all done? I'm just.
I don't really want to wait till they're all done. You guys give me some feedback about that. We finished 2 modules now, so, and we are in the process of, if you haven't been on our website lately, it's a whole new look.
I need to get on there.
So we're revamping everything. So if y'all are okay, I would like to put them on the website as we vote on them, so that the current ones are up there and it's not the old ones.
I think it's a better.
Yep. So we can do
and
that.
for the curious parent who wonders if there's a policy in something, search it, find it.
Yeah.
And they do, apparently.
I would be that curious.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Well, that means we are, if there's no comments or questions beyond that, so we're ready for consideration. Yes.
Right. Is it consideration for this? I don't want. Okay. Is there any way, like when someone makes an update to this folder, to get a, like on Dropbox, it'll send you a little message that says this file's been changed. Is there any way in Google, is anybody familiar with it enough to be able to like pop up?
Susie's the Google expert.
So is in Google, if someone changes a document, is there a way for it to pop up and send us the board an email and say this document's been changed, so we can go in and look and see what?
Yeah, so there's, under the file menu, there's a little thing that says email, and you can email collaborators. That means everybody who has access to that document will get an email, you either email an actual document or email them a notification that says,
Because
So
this
as the user, we have to choose that?
You have to do that, yeah, it won't do it automatically, but if there's something that you know that you want to raise and notify that this document has been updated, then it says, you know, like, take out collaborators. And then
I mean, that's, it makes it so much easier, because like, I think we were talking, if someone doesn't tell me, I don't know that it's been changed. So if we all got an email that said, hey, this document's been changed, we can go in and look at it and say, okay, I see that, okay, yeah. Thanks.
So each one of us who uses that would have to set that.
Right, you just, every time you finish editing something,
You can choose that.
Collaborators.
Okay, so we would have to remember
Well,
that.
at this point, since it's board policy,
Yeah, we shouldn't change
we
it.
can't make changes until we run it back to the board again.
Right, and I'm just talking about any Google, any
Anything that's
Google
on
doc
there.
that we make a change to.
Or that we add a
We
document.
add a document.
So in this case, we would have gotten an email that said, these are now there.
Yeah. Which I put them there this afternoon, I'm looking and they're not there now, so.
I just saw them there.
What, the board, they're there.
They're there.
They're
Oh,
there.
my computer's glitching.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah, they're there. I'm looking at them right now.
Okay, very good. I'm glad they're still there. They were there.
I'm sorry, say what?
On Friday, you
Gremlins.
guys should have each gotten a reminder. Yeah. On Friday, you guys should have each gotten a reminder for the board meetings.
I got an email from Taylor.
Did you
Yeah,
get that? So you didn't get it from Google?
no.
Okay. She got one today and I got one.
No, it was yesterday.
Oh, it was yesterday. It was yesterday.
I didn't
So
even get
random. So there we go. I'll get with people who know more than I do, which is pretty much everybody. And we'll make that happen.
I just don't know.
But that should trigger you, it's supposed to trigger you on Friday, but she did, thank you so much, to read the documents that are currently in the file.
Well, I mean, I didn't see the board doc, I mean, these in that. It wasn't, it was in a different file.
It is.
So I didn't know to
Yeah.
look at those.
Yeah, that
So-
one we didn't know too, because I didn't even know it was in that file until, we didn't put it in until last night, but the other documents have to be in there by Friday.
Got it.
So.
Okay. All right.
By the way, thank you very much for the email that we did not have a board meeting a week ago because I was
Oh,
about to
right.
drive my happy self up here.
It was last Tuesday.
Yes.
It did.
I
It was live, but-
kind of got wind
It was
that
the
a couple
Duncanville.
of people were thinking that, and I was like, oh no, somebody's gonna show up.
Right.
That would have been, so thank you very much for that.
You're very welcome.
All right, so what's on the table here is the consideration of the board module 2 policy set. So can I have someone make that motion? We would approve that.
Make a motion that we accept module 2 of the board policy.
Second.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it's approved. All right, the next thing would be going to closed session. And in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, subchapters D and E, and of Chapter 551, Texas Government Code, the board may enter into closed executive session to deliberate any subject authorized by subchapter D that is listed on the agenda for this meeting. Before any closed or executive session is convened, the presiding officer will publicly identify the section or sections of the act authorizing the closed or executive session. Any final action, decision, or vote on a subject deliberated in the closed or executive session will be conducted in open session in compliance with the Texas Act. So the closed session today, we do have a topic that is pursuant to Government Code 551.074 personnel matters. And we are hereby convening to close session at 8:29 p.m. Who are still with us, thank you for listening. The next statement here is to consider and take possible action on matters discussed in the closed session. We have no business to take action on from the closed session. So with that being said, can I ask for a motion to adjourn?
Did you want to talk about the virtual for next time? Do we need to say that?
That was
pause the meeting next time, not have a virtual option? Is that
I
necessary?
think there's really just for us, but
Okay.
for those who are hanging on and want an extra tidbit of information, because the Attorney General is rescinding the option for doing online board meetings or public meetings effective September 1, the online option will be going away. So officially, this is.
That's an order, not ours, that's an order from the.
That's an order from the state of Texas. That's right. It's no longer being permissible for the that exception to the Open Meetings Act. So, cool. All right. Can I have a motion?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor of adjournment? Aye. All opposed? Meeting is adjourned.
Yay.